Hello everyone, good morning. So fresh? Okay, so what about the homework I gave? Have anyone tried? Okay, so this session is going to be like, I'm going to start with the same thing what we shared yesterday. Start with the basics of Deluge. So before getting into any programming language, or like again in Deluge, we need to learn few basic things. Right? That's going to be the session all about. Just follow me on the presentation. So you're not going to be like a hands-on workshop on this first session alone. After that, we will be having a hands-on workshop. So let's get started. So what is Deluge? To recap what we have seen yesterday. So what you see is this. Typically, when you drag and drop a field, we'll generate a code at the back end, right? So this is what a Deluge is all about, right? And then it helps you to do so many other things when you get into the code layer. There are the things which I shown yesterday, or it bridges a gap between the business logic and the data, create complex workflows with ease, and avoid complexities, right? So this is the set we seen yesterday. And then Deluge as such helps you to build few things in Creator. What are those things? So we have seen automation. It helps you to automate few steps. This set we're going to see today. We're going to take one such example and then automate that particular application. So this is one thing. Another thing is integrations. The integration is happening on the developer track. We are not seeing it here. As such, integration is a little bit complex when you compare to the few other automation. And it helps you to do scheduling as well. We are seeing this in today after lunch. And another thing is customization, which happened yesterday on the developer track. So it's not happening here. So we are going to see automation and scheduling today. That's the overall set we're going to see. So as I stated, before getting started, we need to learn few basics. So that's the session I'm going to talk about today. So anyone guess what is inside this jug? Or this container? What is inside this? Lemonade? Yeah. I call this as a ginger lemonade for an example. Right? And what is this? Yeah, skim milk, right? I call it skim milk. So what is this? I believe gonna what? Cranberry. Okay. I named it different. Okay. I named it as Margita. Right? So the container can contain anything as such. Sorry. Right? The container can contain, this jug can contain any such drink, right? Or anything inside it. So let's try to understand. So this is a jug, right? So these are the things we have seen, like it can have like margita, skim milk, or any lemonade inside it, right? So when you pour cocktail in it, we call that as a cocktail jug, right? When you pour milk in it, we'll call it as milk jug, right? Similarly to the lemonade as well. So this is the thing which we're going to see in the next couple of slides, where we're going to understand a few things. If you put it in a simple words, the jug is called a container, right? It contains few things inside it, right? When you take margita or a milk or something else, when you pour inside it, that's a content inside that container, right? And collectively, when you call that as a mocktail jug or a milk, we name it as actual name of it, right? That's where we call it. So we'll use this and then map it to Deluge or to any programming language. In Deluge, this jug is being called the variable, right? And the content is called value. It's nothing but the container value, right? It's called variable and a value. And then name is called variable name. Does anyone has a problem in this? So this is the basic of anything. So before getting into the next thing, we need to understand this. I just take an example, like it could apply for anything, right? Even this hall. If the workshop takes place in it, we call it as a workshop. If an event takes place in it, we call it as an event. If a trade show happens in it, we call it as a trade show, right? It applies for anything. A container, content, and the name for it. Right? That's a basic of programming. We'll translate that into programming language. We call it as variable, value, and the name of that variable. Right? Let's see how to write this in any programming language or in a Deluge as such. So let's get into variable. So we can see, like, I have an underscore in between, right? I haven't named it as cocktail space check, right? I named it as cocktail underscore check. So take any programming language or anything, even in Deluge. When you name something, when you give a name to something, you should not have a space in between. That's the first constraint you have, right? We are including iPhone or underscore. In case of Deluge, it is underscore. You need to use underscore in between, or just don't use anything. Have two words together, right? And then when you set a value, say for example, Magita, I put it inside a double quote. So this is how you write a value. The left-hand side is variable name. The right-hand side is the value. So how to set, typically how to assign this value to a variable name. So in this case, we have something called jug, right? Margita and then cocktail. So we put the Margita inside the jug, that become the variable. So how to make this as a variable? In between, you need to put an equal sign. At the end, put a semicolon. This becomes a variable definition. I'll summarize it again. On the left-hand side, it's called name or a variable name. And the right-hand side is a content or a value. When you have equal sign and a semicolon at the end, it becomes a variable. Actually, you are defining a variable, right, in terms of programming language. Let's see the next two examples as well. Similarly, put a equal, put double quotes, this. Okay. So to summarize it again, the left-hand side is variable name, right is value, and collectively it's called variable. Let's take the same analogy and then start with that. Let's take the jug. So till now everyone understands what is variable, right? Anyone has a problem with variable? We are moving into the next step, the next level of programming, where you're going to understand a few more things. I've given like a couple of examples on each type of drink, right? And then collectively call that as the type of particular drink. If it is a milk that is like 2% milk, 1% milk, or skim milk, or anything, collectively call that as a milk, right? That's an example we seen like at the first slide, right? So in simple words, I'll put it as container, drink, and the type of drink. The type of drink could be like cocktail, milk, or lemonade in this case. It could be like anything else. So if you convert that into a Deluge or any programming language, we call that as data type. If anyone has a problem with this? This is again the most important one. Yeah.
Any questions at all on any of this? As we're starting to move through some of these basic concepts, it's really good to have a good understanding. If you want more examples,
yeah,
we can do those. Anybody at all?
Yeah. Exactly. So I put it in a different word saying that drink, right?
So-
In this case, everything is drink, right? It could be a content as well.
So just to clarify, value and content are the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Question?
Yeah.
Yeah, all the slides.
All the slides will be.
All the slides and the session, the audio for the sessions are also going to be available. So, and we'll send this all out to you guys afterwards. Okay.
Right.
So you'll have something to review.
Okay. The first thing which we learned is how to define a variable. The second thing is the type of particular variable, right? Or particular thing, right? In this case, it's a cocktail, milk, or everything is a drink. But we'll categorize into like one single type, cocktail, milk, and lemonade, right? Collectively, it's been called data type. So the next section is about data type. So what are the types available in Deluge? So that's going to be the thing. I've written a wine name here, Shiraz. It's of type text or string. Right? In Deluge, we call this a string. In few other languages, they call it as text or content or anything, right? There are so many other languages out in the world. So in Deluge, particularly the things you see on your right is the actual type which we use in Deluge. We call this a string. When you see something inside double quote, all of this has been called string. When you put a number, we call that as an integer. Or we call that as an int, I-N-T. Right? There are so many other names for it as well. So if you use number, if you use integer, Deluge uses it as integer. Yep.
So that's a number that you can use in calculations, but if you wanted it to be a number,
Define a variable with a number.
as a string.
No, I'll show that. Yeah, that's my next step. So he asked about, say for example, I'm defining a variable called x equals 10, right? Even that is possible, right? And in that case, you will not put double quotes in it. So when you're writing a string, you'll put a double quotes. When you're writing a number, you'll put just a number alone, right? So I'll show the syntax of it as well when we move on. So this is decimal. When you see something without a double quote and just a number with dot in it, we call that as a decimal. There is something called we'll use most often in any term, right? If answer is yes or no, or like true or false, we call that as a decision. Everything starts with this. Are you attending the session? It's like true or false. Are you coming to the next workshop? It's like true or false, right? Everything says like, is it yes or no? If you have a decision to make, we call that as a decision. In Deluge, we call that as a Boolean. And the last thing you need to learn is date or date time. So when you put something inside a single quote, that's been called as date. And we need to maintain the format. Here the format is date, month, and year. There are so many other formats outside. You can use any of the formats in Deluge. We support all of this. But you need to use it in between double quote. Right, say for example, I use Feb /26/2016. Right? That is also date, but you need to put inside double quote. That's a constraint. So use a format whatever you want to use, but make sure you put it inside a single quote. Right? That's date. Similarly, you can have time as well. After the date, upon the time, hours, minutes, and seconds. There is no change in that. So you'll use, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Single quote. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. We'll figure it out. Yeah. So that's web types in Deluge. Let's get into like few exercises for you guys. So I want each one of you to answer it. So or not like I mean, I don't want the answer from same guy repeating. So I want someone from here, someone from there. Everyone has to get involved in this, right? Okay. On the left, what is the data type of this? Okay, good. I have a number inside. Is it string? Why is that? Exactly. So that's the thing. So if you have something, even if a number or a date, within a double quote, it's been called a string. So you're learning programming language, that's good. Right? So what is this again? Good. Getting it? Okay, move on. What is this? From the right. I don't want the answer from left. Super. This. Not a Boolean? Boolean. Okay. So you got the flavor, right? So that's a basic thing. So when you move on with this, we're moving into the next step of programming. You're seeing 3 lines of code now. I've defined something called x equal to 5, x equal to 6. There is something called info, which is a task in Deluge. We call everything is a task. Every line of code is a task. When you put something, we call it as task. So this info x just shows what is x. That's it, right? It doesn't do anything else. If you get into that page here, everything involved as info. I'm going to use info across my presentation to show you, like, in my previous presentation, I asked like x equal to true. What is that, right? If you want to print it or if you want to show that to a user, you'll use info, right? In this case, what is the value of x? Is it 5 or 6? How's that? How you figure it out? Why not 5? Okay, that's good. So to make it in a generic way, where what happens with programming languages, it goes one by one, right? The things which you have it at the last will be executed at last, right? The first thing, x equal to 5 will be executed, and the next thing is x equal to 6. So that means x value has been changed from 5 to 6, right? That's the most important step. That applies for any lines of code. The first line will be executed first. The second line will be executed second. Whatever changes you do, the last thing which you have in this variable has been used, right? So in this case, it gives the value as 6. What is the value now? Right? What 5? First one or second one? Is it string or a number? So let's do one thing. It's how many people are saying with the number 5 or an integer 5? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Are you guys from IT background? Just 3 of you. No. So can you tell me like why you're saying 5? That's the first line. Okay. So let's go back. Why you say 6 here? It's second here, and the next side is like 5. She needs a. What's that? Mm-hmm.
The one in quotations, it's a string, so that could lead you to a different set of data.
Data type, yeah, different data type. So that's a one good answer. Where when you try to change a data type, few programming language will not allow you to do it. Right? When you define x is number and then change the x into something else, you'll be doing some other operation. So how is that going to match, right? But in Deluge again, you can do x equal to 5 as well. So change the nature of the variable. Change from number to string, but make sure you as a programmer don't start with this. Right? Try to use different variables. Don't try to use the same variable of same data, different data types. Right? Make sure you use a different variable names so that we ourselves don't confuse ourselves. When you start with that, make sure you use different variable names for different nature of fields, different nature of value. That's most important thing. In this case, the answer is string double quotes 5, right? That's the thing. Yeah, exactly. It's not, it's,
If it's multiple,
yeah.
it's confused. So I'm just trying to understand the outcome that we're looking for.
Okay.
I'm a little lost.
Okay, I'll get into the learn Deluge page so that we all know how to do it. Skip all this. Everyone can see this, right? See, I have made an info with double quote saying learning Deluge. When I click on execute code, it executes more for me and says the output is learning Deluge, right? So here I'm going to change x equal to 5 and x equal to make it easier, I name it as 6. Say info x, right? So, got it? So similarly, if I put x equal to 7, it's 7. Try to get this structure out. Do an experiment here. So don't do it in your application. This is a play area. So go here, do stuff you want. It works fine. So go through all the material here so that you can learn how to do this. So here there are like so many things out here. You can learn all this stuff which I'm explaining in this presentation here. Each one of it. I'm not getting into each one of it, but obviously you can go here and do it. Yeah.
Where is here?
That is the page I say like learn Deluge. creator.zoho.com/learn Deluge. I'll do it here. I'll type it here. Just one. And with that, let's move on to the next one. So till now, everyone is clear about variable and data type. Right? Okay, let's move on. The third important thing is operators. Can anyone here haven't used calculator before? Has everyone used calculator before, right? Right, that's good. That makes my job easier. It's typically the operations you do between two variables or two values, right? To give you an example. Operators are like 3 levels. The most important one is arithmetic operators, which is nothing but the things you use in a calculator, the simple ones, not the cos, sine, and other things, simple ones. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. The next thing is relational operators. There is an example here, says 5. I don't know what the name of it, angular bracket or something. It's called greater than 3. 5 greater than 3. Right? That's where you'll get true or false. Right? That's where you'll use relational operators, which is relate two things and given an output saying like it is a true or false. Based on it, we'll know like where you need to use it. I'll show that as well. And then there is something called logical operators. So I'll show each one of it in detail so that you'll understand that. So first, as I stated, arithmetic operators, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Okay, simple calculation. What is the value of A? 15? Okay, simple, right? What is the value of X here? Can I do this? Again, X is 50. But what I'm doing here is, I'm not changing the nature of the variable. I'm sticking with the same nature. It's a number. but I'm doing a calculation with the same number and using it together. Right? Let's take an example of, which I said about pizza order. Right? That's an application we're going to see today. It's a pizza order management where you have inventory, you have order taking process. Whenever you make an order, you need to update the inventory. Right? You have something called available quantity. Right? You need to get the available quantity and subtract with the actual order value and then update the available quantity. So that's where you use this. Right now it's like simple. When you get into the actual business logic, it's same. But the variable name itself, it's the difference, right? Only the variable name is different. It's not like simple things. You move this to your business logic, you can do like so many other things, right? This arithmetic operator is going to help you a lot. So let's move on. If you notice, I've used again underscore. There is a first name called Bruce, second name called Wayne. I'm using the arithmetic operators here. Usually, you use arithmetic operators called plus or addition only with a number. Here I'm using with the string. Will that work? Will it throw any error? I say error, which is nothing but it's not working, right? So that's a programming term we use, error or problem, right? So will this work? Have anyone tried this before? As most of you are not like from the IT background, I believe it's not possible. So the answer is Bruce Wayne. What happens when you use plus along with the string? It just uncats it. It just appends together. Appends two different variables together. Yeah.
There's no space.
That's my next example. I know. I've been into multiple workshops. People ask this. So that's the next example I'm going to show. So right now, what happens here is, there is Bruce, there is Wayne. When you put a plus in between, it just concatenates. There is no space in between. Right? How to do that? A little tweak. Got it? Plus, and within the double quote, I'll put a space. Right? And then a plus with the last name. The answer will be Bruce space Wayne. This is an important point here again. You'll be using this multiple times in your programming language. It's not like necessary to have one plus at a time. You can have any number of operators along with it. When you start small, it will be like 1 plus. When you get into the in-depth of programming language, you will get into like multiple steps at one line. Here I have written like two things in one line. First name appended with double quotes of space and then the last name. It gets me the result called Bruce space Wayne. Right? Similarly, when you do a calculation, you want to sum all my sales of this month. What do? You need to do multiple plus signs, right? Multiple additions for all your numbers, right? Similarly, that can be applied for string as well, right? So is everyone getting till this point? Good. You're learning. That's great. Okay, let's move on. This is just the relational operators. Just go through it. I'll give you like few minutes on this. Is anyone getting a problem with this? Not able to understand what is what? The one important thing which you guys need to notice, the last two things. Double equals. When you need to do like, say for example, Saran equals Taylor, right? Is it true? No, right? So that's a thing, right? So that's where you'll use equals. Say for example, my last month's sales is equal this month's sales. If I want to do it, I'll use double equal sign, not single equal. If you have noticed properly, in the variable, we have used single equals, right? It means you are assigning something. If you use double equals, that means you are comparing something. Right? That's an important thing. And then in the last thing, it's called not equals. Is everyone getting till this point? I'm going to show all examples of this as well.
Query a question right here. And that actually seems like a pretty good pro tip right there, that the double equal sign is equals, the single equal sign is assignment, right? So hold on, here's the question.
Going back to the addition subtraction.
Yeah.
If you were to start with, can you use subtraction with text, with a string, the same way that you would?
Yeah, that's a good question. I waited for it, but no one get into it. Say, what happens? Sorry. What happens if I use subtraction in a text? The operators like addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication applies only for the numbers. Only the plus sign used for text, right? That's the thumb rule, where you cannot use minus or like subtraction inside a text. That's not, probably like we'll invent that in Deluge as well to do something, some logic out of it, right? Right now, we are just using plus for it, right? Plus to just append it, probably like subtraction to remove few things from the second verb. Even that is possible. We'll think of something, but right now, only the plus works. It's good. Okay. Okay, is everyone getting this, right? So I'm going to move on and getting into the examples of each and every relational operators. 5 less than 3. So I'm going to get into the, don't talk about the actual text here, I'm going to translate into English. It's typically 5 lesser than 3. That's how you call in a programming language. Talk like a programmer from now on. So that's the thing. So 5 lesser than 3. Is it true or false? Is it right or wrong? False. That's good. For greater than 3, simple, we'll use true. 5 equals 3, right? False. What is this? How you spell? How you put it in words? Exactly. 5 not equals 3, which is true. There is something called logical operators. Try to read this. When you want to do multiple conditions, I'll show an example again. Think of my last year sales and this quarter's sales percentage of both the sales are same as last couple of years. That means my sales is not going good, right? So you need to match last year's sales with this year and last year, last couple of months here with this sales as well. So you need to match couple of things together. That's where you'll use logical operators. If you want to combine two conditions together, you'll use logical operators. Let's see how to do that. Let's get into an example and see how it works. Can anyone read this? Louder?
Does one person want to actually just give it a try? You can just try to step up.
You can. Yep.
Yep. Okay, cool.
Okay,
True.
so it's going to be the double and, so both of those have to be true.
No. Okay. Try to read it first.
Oh.
I don't want to answer as such.
So is 5 not equal to 3, and is 5 less than 3?
That's great. That's great. So the answer is?
It's going to be false.
Okay. That's great. Is anyone have a problem in understanding this? The first thing is you need to get the first part of it, say 5 not equal to 3, get the answer out of it, and then get into the next thing, get the answer out of it, and then do an and, which is typically true and false. It's not true, right? We'll say it is false. Does anyone has a problem in this? This is an important thing. Like we are moving to the next step where we'll be doing like multiple steps along with like one condition or one operation, right? That's the next step. Yep.
Is there a significance to one ampersand only?
No, there is no such thing called one ampersand, right? In Deluge or like most of the programming languages use double ampersand, or they call it as and text itself, and itself, right? So here in Deluge we'll use ampersand, double ampersand. And then similarly, we'll use double pipeline. There is a character called pipeline that's called OR. Can anyone try to read this again? Some volunteer?
Anybody want to take a crack at this one? Come on, there has to be one person. One brave soul. Okay, I see two people over here. Okay. I'm gonna give it to him because you answered the last one.
Is 5 not equal to 3, or is 5 less than 3?
Great. What's the answer is?
It would be true because one of the conditions is true.
That's
5
great.
is not
That's
equal.
great. Is anyone has a different opinion on that? Is it right? Okay, that's great. So that's how it works. Take the first set, next set, and do OR, get a true. Right? That's how it works. That's with the logical operators. So if you see, we started with the variable, we started with the data type, we got into the operators. Each and every step, you are moving like one step forward, right? One step forward of learning programming language. Till now, if you understand like what is going on here, you can easily crack on what we're going to do for the whole day now, right? The whole Deluge is, again, depends on this. If you understand this, we're going to move faster as well. The next important topic I'm going to talk about is condition. Condition is nothing but the operator which we did in the last slides, right? Is 5 not equal to 3 or 5 is lesser than 3. How to translate that into a program? It's written in a verbal, right? So I want to make it as a program. When you make that as a program, it's no more is. It is if. We call it as if. Right? There is something called else and else if. I'm going to get into that later. First, we'll start with the if condition. How to write this in Deluge? That's the first step I'm going to see. Right? Anyone has a problem in it? What I did is, instead of is, you need to write if and then and put all the condition inside a bracket. That's called if, or that's called if condition. Does anyone has a problem in this or need any more info on this? We're going to see a few more examples on this as well. So again, to recollect, all this set has been called task. When you write a Deluge code, we call it as a Deluge task, or we call it as a condition or operator in a general terms. So this is the definition for a if condition. If you noticed, I've added a couple of more lines in it. I've added a curly braces after a if condition. What happens here is, after if, you have to do something, right? It's not like always do a condition alone, right? Check with your last year sales and you want to alert your sales team or like inform your sales team to move forward or put like a lot of effort or maybe ask them to work on the weekends as well, right? How to do that? So typically, write those things inside these curly braces. Right? If you write something inside these curly braces, that will be executed only if the condition matches. All right? Okay. Let's see a real-time example. Can anyone read this? Volunteers? Not you again, someone else.
Someone that has not raised their hand yet.
Yeah.
Or her again? Or,
Yeah.
hold on.
I'm taking a guess, but if the hour's less than 6 p.m.?
Yeah.
I mean,
Go ahead, go ahead.
1800 Army time is 6 p.m., so.
Exactly.
Then it's
Say,
the string output is good day.
yeah, that's right, that's right. I'll do it again. If hour is lesser than 1800, show info as good day. That means if it never reaches, if the time is lesser than 6 p.m., show a status as good day. Right? So you can do so many other activities there. For an example, I taken info here. Right? Till now, is everyone following this, or you need any help on this? Another example, yeah. I will be doing it. Not on the if, I'll add more examples here. Yeah. Get into Learn Deluge. Come on. Hey, yeah. Conditional statements, I'm going to click on if. Check this out. There is an example here stating, check if product quantity greater than equal to 1 and then print available. I'm going to do that now. Here's the product quantity now. I'm going to say product quantity. It says greater than or equal to, right? I'm going to put greater than or equal to 1. Say product is available. Got it? This is one such example where it checks the quantity in the inventory and then says the product is available. If it is not available, you can do a different info here. Similarly, we want to make another check saying if product quantity is greater than 50, I'm going to put it in a simple words here. Right? So this things where you'll use if condition. It's nothing but a condition where you'll put if with the curly braces. The things which are inside the curly braces will be executed. So this is where I'll introduce something called, when you put 2 forward slashes, it's nothing but a comment. Right? It will not be executed. Right? So in this case, I'm not doing anything. I just for a sake, I put it as a comment. Right? So getting the if condition. What? Anyone has a problem in if? Okay, moving on. So this is the next example. What I'm doing here is, if the hour is lesser than 1800, show an info as good day, or show the info as good evening. So to do that, to replace that or, I made it as else. Right? If something matches, the first block will be executed. When you put else, it's a reverse case of it. If it is not matches, if it is false, do it. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. Right. So when you use semicolon, right, that's an important thing in programming. So if this, say for example, take this line alone, right, info, good evening, the last line for that. So we have included semicolon. That means there is no further explanation for that particular task, right? But in case of if, it ends only after the curly braces. You can use curly braces or if condition, the semicolon to close a task, right? That's how the difference is. When you have like one line of code, it's typically semicolon. When you have like multiple lines, you'll use curly braces, right? Most of the time, the curly braces will be used in if. There is something called a looping. We're not getting into that now. We'll be getting into the next session. The looping, where we'll use curly braces, because that has to be run like 10 or 4 times, right? Or like any number of times. That's where you'll use curly braces. In most of the cases, we'll use semicolon, because most of them are like one single line, right? That's an idea. Got it?
So, Saran, I actually have a question. So if I put like a semicolon after the if line, right? If hour is less than 18, right? It would just basically be telling, the code would be just if.
Just if.
And it's
not
like,
doing
it's
anything
not even
else.
asking
Yeah.
it then. It's not relating an if and a then.
Exactly. So that will throw an error because that is
Right. It's just
there's an
saying,
else.
hey, if. And the computer's going, okay, what? Right? So, yeah. Okay. I didn't know that. So, yeah, I'm learning all this stuff right now, too. So this is helpful.
Right? So till now, anyone has a problem in understanding this? If and else. Yep. Okay, let's split this. Yeah. This 18, the question is about, is the 18, the text 18 itself is a condition or a data type? It's a good question. What happens is, the first line, collectively the first line is called condition. Right? There are 2 or 3 elements we are using inside this. Hover is a variable, lesser than is an operator, 18 is a data type of integer. So the programming is same, right? You need to combine all the basic items we learned in the first 3 topics together. That becomes a program, right? You need to understand variable. Yeah, go ahead, please.
So if you put something that could be erroneous, like the hour is less than 25.
Yeah, works. Sorry. When you put like 25 in it, it's nothing but you're just changing the value or the number value from 18 to 25. Sorry. Uh-huh.
Right. So she. Yeah. Basically, if there isn't a 25th hour, so
Yeah,
if
got
you
it.
wanted it to be greater than 25, you'd get thrown an error, right?
Exactly. So that's where the program has to think, right? He or he has to think whether the hour is going to be more than 25. In that case, your program is not going to execute at any time. You can put a hour greater than 25. It's not going to execute any time, right? It's going to be there, similar to what Taylor has stated. Put a if with a semicolon. It's no use of having an if statement, right? That's where. So that's where you need to put like a bit of business logic in it, right? Where you need to put what kind of condition, what kind of number is going to suit you, depends on that. You need to start. So that's where the Dylan session came in, right? Yesterday, we need to have a blueprint of what you're going to do, right? So move on. So we're going to change a little bit, add a little more value to it. There is something called else if. We have checked few things in the last slide, right? We said if it is lesser than 1800, we say good day. If it is not the case, we'll say good evening, right? I want to include good morning as well. Right? That's where you'll use else if. Hour is lesser than 10, use good morning. If hour is lesser than 18, say good day. If both of them not true, do good evening. Adding more lines of code, but using the same approach. We're not adding anything more. It's just repeating the things. What I'm doing here is, if hour is lesser than 10, I'm saying it as good morning. Else if, what happens with else if is, it has to check the first check first. It is hour lesser than 10. If that's not the case, the second condition evaluates. The second condition is hour lesser than 80. And even that is false, it gets into the else condition. Say for example, this session is happening at, right now that time is 9:58 or something, where it says good morning. Within like another 2 or 3 minutes, it will say good day. Right? Probably like when you leave, it says like good evening. So that's a overall set. All right? So this is like one such example. I made it like simple because the next slide is going to be the most complex one. Right? Again, it's like fun. To make it like simple so that you learn and then move on to the next level of complexity. So with that, I might end with my session and then move on with Ani's thing. So we'll get into like more business level condition. Right? Till now, is everyone getting this? Okay. Let's take a real example. So this is the form we're going to see today, but I'm going to give a quick preview on that as well. This is the piece of order form. You see there is something called name, email, the fields which you learned yesterday. It's pretty simple, right? You have a price, you have a quantity, you have a total price, all this done. Right? So I'm going to use this example in my following slides. So we're going to use something called calculate the total price. When someone submits order, I need to calculate the total price like it's stated here, right? 150, right? Similarly, I'm planning to provide a discount code based on the locality. Could be like Bay Area, give them like 10%, right? Or again, if the order is more than like $1,000 or something, give them a 10% discount, right? So those are the checks. I'm going to do it in the next slide, right? More business logic. The first thing is calculate total price. Anyone have a trouble in reading this? Total price equals price multiplied with quantity. Simple? Okay, that's the first step. So we learned what is arithmetic operators, right? With that, we're calculating the total price. And then the next step is, if the locality is Bay Area, provide them a discount count of 10. It's a combination of another two things, where you will define a variable called discount percent. By default, the discount percent is 0. And if the locality is Bay Area, set the discount percent as 10. If anyone has a problem in this, I'm going to show you like another couple of lines of code in the next slide. So I want to make sure you understand this. Okay? Okay, move on. Yep, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So the variables will have a underscore. The value could be like anything. It could have an underscore. It could not have. I mean, can have a space or anything. So that's a good question. Okay, let's get into the next thing where I want to check if the total price is greater than 1,000, like $1,000. Set the percent as 10. I'm going to combine these three things into like one single thing. So this is how you do a outline. So take one task, define it, take a next task, define it, third one, define it, and then club all together, and then you'll get a actual business logic. That's where the blueprint works. Combination of all three things together. The first line states total price equal to price multiplied with quantity, and then I combine two conditions into a OR, right? Because it could be like Bay Area, or if the total price is more than $1,000, I'll set the discount count as 10. And then there's a logic there. I myself took some time to crack the percentage logic, but that's how. So you need to know how to calculate the percentage, right? So ignore that. So you'll get a total price. So I've calculated the total discount price. Say for example, if it is $1,000, you'll get a discount price of $100, right? Of 10%, right? So and then you will subtract that with the total price. So the total price becomes $900, right? Here. So I've used a combination of all the things which we have learned till now. This is the most important thing. If you have any problem with that, then go ahead, yeah.
When you have total underscore
Price, yeah.
can that be one word or does it
Yeah.
always have to be two words?
No.
So it doesn't have to be a multiple. You can
Exactly.
just discount underscore price. You can just say
This
discount
price equals, yeah. Even that is fine. Yeah. In your keyboard, that's asterisk or the multiply, whatever key you press, it will be translated as asterisk, right? So when a calculator you have an X, in your keyboard you have it as asterisk. It's not an X symbol, it's an asterisk, right? That's where you'll use a multiplication. It's not X as such.
Does this make sense to everybody? Is anybody unclear on any aspect of this at all? Even if it's just like one line or one variable or anything?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly, that's good.
Just
That's
restate the question.
I don't want to make it complex. I mean, to repeat the question, to calculate the discount price, you can set the discount percent itself as 0.1 and then do a calculation with total price into 0.1. You'll get the actual discount price and then subtract with the total price. That's a good way of doing calculation. But to make it simple, I made it this way. Yeah.
Is anybody else? Because I mean, this is some of the cool stuff that we're kind of getting into now. We're starting to put it together.
Yeah, I mean, that's another good question. Where what I've written here is total price, space, equal, space, price equal, right? So there was like each and everything I've made up space in between just to maintain the readability. It's not a mandate, right? You can remove it. It's true for any programming language, right? You might need space on some cases, but it's not like mandate as such, right? That's the reason I made it like look prettier so that you guys, when you start, make sure you have the space in between. When I started learning my programming, I'd never used space. After like 2 days, I couldn't read what it is, right? So make sure you use space. And there is something called comment. Try to use comment. Why you are doing this? Why you are doing that? Right? Make sure you use comment. To do the comment, you'll use 2/ and type the text. Right? That's the thing. Any other question? Yep.
Was the discount percent one of the fields on that form? Did it show, or is it kind of running behind the scenes?
So that's a very good question. Here, can anyone say what are the fields? What are the variables? Here are like two things involved in it. So when you write in Deluge, don't worry about it as a field or as a variable, right? In this case, the total price which I showed in the form, this is the total price. This is the quantity. This is the price. Each one of them is a field. But there is no field called discount percent, right? So what I'm doing is, I'm defining a variable here. Do not see a difference as such, right? So that's the abstraction you do. So you can define your own variable, also use the field value itself as a variable, right? Where the total price, quantity, or a fields, probably like locality could be a field there. I don't have that here. So even this form doesn't have the field, but that will be a field because you need to know the locality, right? So that could be a field. And rest of them are like variables. So if you see here, the total price has been reassigned. That means what happens is, it sets a price in the form itself. Right? When you load the form again, you'll see the price. When you edit the order, you can see the price. Right? So that also happens. So we're going to explain that in detail in the next session. Anis is going to do that. So if you have any other questions, I'll take it up, or I'm good to go.
All right, so we're good? Everyone good? Everyone give Sarin a big round of applause.
Thank you.